Red Bull vows revenge. Following the humiliating defeat to McLaren in Australia, Red Bull has openly stated its intention to strike back, saying it has already identified the key issues that led to the failure. Immediate updates are in the pipeline, and Red Bull is determined to close the points gap and restore its dominance. Meanwhile, Oscar Piastri made a resounding statement after chaotic team orders cost him dearly in his home race. The young Australian didn't mince words, calling McLaren's strategy stupid and fueling rumors about his future with the team. On the other hand, Fernando Alonso finally spoke about the frightening crash that rocked the track in Melbourne. The Aston Martin veteran detailed the critical factors that led to the incident, which sparked discussions about the condition of the track and race management. If you're interested, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and put a like. Let's get started. Red Bull is on the trail of revenge after humiliating defeat to McLaren at the Australian Grand Prix. For the first time in years, Red Bull Racing found themselves at a disadvantage at the start of the Formula One season. The reigning champions, used to dominance in the turbo-hybrid era, suffered a painful defeat at the hands of McLaren at the Australian Grand Prix, a result that shocked the paddock. Lando Norris in his McLaren MCL39 had a near-perfect weekend in Melbourne, winning pole and confidently turning it into a race win. The young Briton's performance was a testament to McLaren's significant progress as he held off Max Verstappen despite conditions that seemed destined to play into Red Bull's hands. Verstappen, known for his aggressive starts and ability to squeeze the most out of the car in difficult conditions, started the race well, but from the opening laps, it was clear that the Red Bull RB21 did not have the race pace he is used to. Despite staying within reach of Norris at the start of the race, Max soon began to experience heavy tire wear, a rare problem for Red Bull in recent years. By the middle of the race, his pace had noticeably decreased, which allowed McLaren to increase the gap. Several departures of the safety car gave hope for a fight, but even on the final laps, Verstappen could not make a serious attack. Red Bull senior advisor Helmut Marko has already identified the main problem that cost them victory in Australia. "We can stay on the same level with McLaren for 6 to 8 laps, but then our tires start to degrade faster. This is the main problem that we need to work on." The Austrian also noted that Verstappen was faster than Norris in the final laps, but had no real chance of overtaking him. In the last 6 laps, Max was faster, but there was only one dry track on the track and overtaking was impossible. The only option was to force Lando into a mistake, but he didn't waver. That shows how much he has added. We have a difficult season ahead of us. History shows that Red Bull Racing does not take defeat lightly. The team is already actively working on eliminating the problem with tire wear, and with the technical genius of Adrian Newey RB21, can become a completely different car already in the coming races. McLaren's victory in Australia set the tone for the championship battle, but Red Bull remains a formidable force. The reigning champions now know exactly who needs to catch up and intend to strike back. Oscar Piastri trashes McLaren for stupid team orders at chaotic Australian Grand Prix. McLaren may have celebrated a resounding victory in Melbourne, but for Oscar Piastri, his home race turned out to be a nightmare, compounded by what he believes was an inexplicable decision by his own team. After a hard-fought race in difficult weather conditions, Piastri found himself in an ideal position to fight for the lead with teammate Lando Norris. However, a historic chance soon turned into disappointment due to team orders. On lap 32, Piastri's race engineer Tom Stallard radioed him, "We need to hold position to pass the laps safely." Piastri's reply was succinct, "I'm faster, but okay." The 23-year-old driver obeyed the order, but when McLaren finally allowed him to attack Norris, it was too late. The tires were worn out, and he made a small mistake, losing precious seconds. As the rain intensified, both McLarens went off the track. Norris was able to get back quickly and get into the box, but Piastri got bogged down in the gravel, losing time trying to reverse. In the end, he finished only 9th, far from the result he had expected from his home Grand Prix. After the race, Piastri was reserved but clear in expressing his dissatisfaction with the team's actions. "We held positions for too long. When I was allowed to fight, I had already spent too much tire resource trying to catch up with Lando. Although he tried not to inflate the situation, his words left room for interpretation. McLaren's decision sparked a flurry of criticism, with many fans and pundits suspecting the team of being biased against Norris. Sky Sports F1 commentator Martin Brundle noted, "It's going to be a problem for the whole season. We knew it was going to be, and here it is." McLaren boss Zak Brown denied the allegations. "No, it didn't. We were just waiting for the traffic to clear. Once that happened, they were released to free fight." However, Brown's words haven't convinced everyone, and the situation around Piastri continues to cause controversy. Fernando Alonso criticizes Albert Park's turn 6 changes after crash. Fernando Alonso has voiced his frustration over the controversial reconfiguration of Turn 6 at Albert Park after his dramatic crash in the 2025 Australian Grand Prix. The Aston Martin driver believes the changes, intended to improve safety, have instead created new risks for drivers. Alonso became the 4th retirement of the race after losing control at Turn 6, sliding into the barriers at Turn 7, and bringing out the safety car. Speaking post-race, the 2-time world champion admitted he was baffled by the incident. "I wasn't off track. I just took a slightly different racing line than before, and suddenly, I found a lot of gravel right there. That's what caused me to lose the car." The Spaniard then criticized the circuit changes. Turn 6's design is probably not the best. It's bringing gravel onto the track instead of keeping it away. That's a huge issue. Oliver Oakes. "I can't support Deweyne all the time." In Melbourne, Jack Doohan retired from his first home Grand Prix almost immediately after the start. The Australian Alpine F. One driver crashed his car on the first lap, and that was the end of it for him. Since in the factory team, Renault duties of the reserve pilot performs fast Argentine Franco Colapinto, well proven for those 9 races that he spent last year. It is clear that such a bad start to the season gives an extra reason to talk about that in the composition of Alpine may be reshuffled. Oliver Oakes, Alpine's team manager, admitted that he has had discussions with Deweyne about his future prospects. "We had a conversation with him back in Abu Dhabi in December, but it was very brief. But in Bahrain, we gave it more time. In the winter, he worked at the base in Enstone, and it was a different situation. He was then engaged on the simulator, and the moment was not suitable, but in the days of preseason tests, we had the opportunity to discuss everything. But I can't support him all the time. He has to show what he is worth on the track, and I think he does that. At the same time, in my opinion, building relationships with the team, he reacts very correctly to all the rumors. He never gets discouraged and holds on normally. But it must be recognized that in Formula One, the attitude to you can change very quickly. Just that the racer could be considered a hero, and here he is already written in the complete losers. The racer must show results and do it steadily, but Jack knows this, and it is evident in his attitude to the case. Perhaps I should not say this, but he should still believe in himself more, to say to himself, "I can do it all." I really believe he can do it. But in Formula One, it is important not only to be fast. You need to be able to cope with the pressure, and in addition, the racer must quickly learn from any mistakes. In China, the newcomers will also have a hard time because this track is not among those where they worked on the tests. But I believe that after that at the stage in Bahrain, they will be a little easier.